Hello. In this unit, we're going to talk about becoming their call center. What do I mean by that? Do I mean that you're going to have 15 telemarketers in there grinding away on a predictive dialer making 20,000 calls a day? No, that isn't what I'm talking about. One of the things that realtors are looking for, more than anything, is help following up on all the business that they already have. Many realtors struggle with closing the deals they have while still prospecting. Sound familiar? Isn't that what we also struggle with? What we're going to do is we're going to help the realtors by helping to follow up on their prospects. Now, how do we do that? How do we get tapped into that flow of leads? Quite simple. Any realtor that has call capture, I'm going to call them. In fact, I've done that for a lot of the realtors in the area, and I've got a couple already that send me their call capture leads. It's getting to the point almost where I don't even have to spend a penny anymore on advertising for my own stuff. I'm literally following up and I'm leveraging their business. I'm following up and I'm calling the people saying, hey, listen, I see that you just called on the house over on 123 Wisteria Lane. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and give them the relevant information about the house and the sales price, and then I'll try to strike up a conversation by asking them if they have their financing in order yet to be able to buy their next house. And then I'll try to talk to them about all the great new government programs that have come out, and then set a appointment to go ahead and fill out a 1003. And if you will follow up on those leads that the realtors give you or that you get from their call capture source, and if you'll go ahead and give them feedback on a weekly basis as to how many you called and how many appointments that you've set up, at that point you've locked in the realtor and you completely own them. Don't discount the fact that there's many realtors that get overwhelmed by the number of leads they get. I'll give you an example out of my own life. When I was a realtor in Atlanta, and this was in the early days of call capture, I at one point was getting 9 to 10 phone calls a day. Doesn't sound like a lot until you multiply that over a 2-month period. That's almost 600 people to follow up on. And it literally got to the point where even after I got an assistant, I took my pager, because at the time the systems only went to pagers. They hadn't yet perfected the whole cell phone technology yet. But I took the pager and I threw it in the cabinet and I said, screw it, I'm done. I'm not even going to mess with it. And I literally just left it alone for 2 weeks. And I came back 2 weeks later and went online and printed everything out. And I was just looking at this list of over, 150, 200 leads. And I said, I don't even know what to do with this. I don't have the time to follow up on it. I've got buyers out the door already. I've got a lot of business coming in. I'm profitable. But I spent all this money on advertising. What do? I just gave it to another agent in the office, and I took a 10%, just a little taste of whatever they did, and that was the way I justified it in my mind, because I had fallen behind on my business. I got overwhelmed. I overdid my advertising, and it was more than my infrastructure was capable of handling at that time. And in my own business, that was a learning lesson of biting off more than I can chew, of indeed having a predictable business, but getting overwhelmed by a tidal wave of leads. And a lot of people would say, I would love to have that problem. But most people wouldn't want to have the $4,000 to $5,000 a month in advertising expenses that I was locked into. So one of the things I struggled with, and one of the things that I needed, is I needed somebody to help me follow up on my leads. So the point I'm getting at is a lot of realtors know that they're struggling, and they need help following up on the buyer leads that they have. And if you can just simply put down a quick and easy system and show them how you can follow up on those leads and be their call center for them, a lot of times that will blow them away. And I have hooked more realtors on that simple approach of, I'm going to help you pick up the business that has dropped on the floor just because you're busy. And I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Realtor, and I want to put in a win-win situation where we help you follow up with your leads, we get them pre-qualified for you, and we wipe out any tire kickers who couldn't buy a house anyway and that would just eat up your time. And that's why we have this efficient system, so that you can have the same things that a realtor who does 100 transactions a year already in place as soon as you start doing business with us. If you can talk to them like that, if you're strong like that, especially if they already have call caption or are spending the money on it, you will absolutely dominate that realtor, and you will own that relationship forever, because you're giving them something of value. Lost leads that can be turned back into business. Something where they feel like they're overwhelmed, and you're taking some of the burden. I want to put it as burden, because it is. You're taking some of the pressure. You're taking some of that feeling that they're getting overwhelmed, and you're taking it off the plate for them. And you can truthfully tell them that rather than working a 60, or 70-hour week, you can turn that into a 40 or 50-hour week, and I can save you 10 or 20 hours a week of lead follow-up. If you can do that, that realtor will love you forever, and they'll keep with you. And even if a deal goes sideways, you're providing them so many different avenues of value that they won't just say, forget it, and kick you to the curb, because they'll stick with you. You're part of their team. You're adding value. You're doing services for them that are not kickbacks, but they're mutually beneficial, win-win types of things, like following up on their buyers, following up on people who are existing listings and talking with them and setting appointments with them and getting their application done and getting them prepared for the next step, so that when the realtor sells their property and they're ready to buy their next home, the realtor will have everything in place. If you're smart about it and follow up on the realtor's leads, and if you get plugged in to where you're helping the realtor follow up on their leads in real time as they get them, you will be in a great position to eventually have to hire a telemarketer or two just to follow up on all the leads that the realtors are flipping over to you. Even in my own business, I am at that point now where I just have to honestly look at it and say, do I need to build up another car room just to follow up on the purchase-based leads, just like I did when I was in the refinance arena? And it can get to that point where rather than having no leads, you're just at the point where you're like, oh my God, I have so many leads coming in from 4, 5, or even 10 realtors that I need somebody to help me stay on top of it so that I can deliver what I promised to this realtor. And that's a great place to be. So I encourage you to get there as quickly as possible. And the way to do that is to find the realtors who are doing call capture, the realtors who are working with a lot of buyers, and then explaining to them the value of you being their call center, you being their follow-up guy, and then giving them regular updates on a weekly basis as to what you followed up on and what you've accomplished as far as getting people pre-qualified or whatever has been done that week, so that they can feel comfortable that they're still in control of their business and that you're there to help them to maximize their business and build it up and be part of their team. See how all these things tie together? Communication, teamwork, mutually beneficial follow-up. These things are what are going to build your business and turn you into a superstar. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is giving them bragging rights at their listing presentations, and I'm going to explain to you why that's important.